You can practice guitar for 10 years and still sound like a beginner. It's not about how long you practice, it's what and how you practice. And if you're making mistakes or developing bad habits, it can really wreck your progress. So today I'm going to show you 5 mistakes I've seen over and over in my lessons over the past 20 years so you can avoid them and not stay stuck sounding like a beginner. This first mistake makes it impossible to play fast and clean. Imagine a sprinter running with their knees up to their chest every step. They're using 10 times more energy than they need to, making it impossible to run fast or maintain their speed. If you're bringing your fingers too high off the neck, you're not going to be able to move them around easily. You need to try to keep them as low as possible. Not only will bringing them high prevent you from moving around fast and clean, but you're also putting unnecessary tension in your hands, which is never a good thing. I know it can be challenging because sometimes your fingers have a mind of their own, but you just need to spend some time training them. Take a simple technique exercise, and if you don't know one, watch my first video, but before you even start, make sure that you get your hand in the right position. So if you're starting like this, make sure you keep all these fingers really close to the strings. Then play slow and focus on keeping your hand in that position the whole time. When you're done playing one note, make sure that that finger doesn't come high when you go to the next note. And also make sure that the fingers that you're not using aren't too high. You just want to keep your fingers as close to the strings as possible the whole time. This is just one of those things you need to be aware of and do some slow, focused practice on this a little bit each day. Do you ever feel like your hands are too small and you can't get enough reach? It's probably not your hand size, but your thumb position, because if your thumb isn't positioned right, it's going to destroy your ability to reach more frets. But you can fix it in literally 2 seconds. Especially when you're playing technical exercises or single note melody type stuff, you want to make sure you bring your thumb down to about the middle of the neck because it's going to give you a way better reach. And you also want to make sure your thumb is vertical and not sideways. Now, this is not black and white. There is some wiggle room, and depending on what you're doing, sometimes you will bring your thumb up here, but especially if you're trying to do something that requires a big stretch, or if you're playing really technical stuff, if your thumb is too high, it's gonna make that nearly impossible. Now, I would argue that rhythm is the most important thing, even more important than the notes, but it seems like it's one of the biggest things that gets neglected despite it being so important. And if you don't believe me, listen to what Victor Wooten, a bass legend, one of the best musicians of our time, says about it.
I don't have perfect pitch, but I don't care, because you're not going to dance to the key, right? You don't dance because it's in the key, you dance to the groove. So I'm going to do my best to play the wrong note, but I'm going to make it groove. I start here, so no matter what note I play, right? That's wrong, that's right. It took me one note to know where I was, but you don't care. Listen, listen, listen. Listen. These are all the notes. You tell me which one is wrong. All the notes are right.
So if rhythm is the most important thing, then why are we not working on it more? If you want to jam with other musicians, you got to have a good groove to stay tight with the band. If you want people to bob their head and tap their foot to your playing, your timing has to be solid. And the best way to get good at this is to practice with a metronome, a little device or an app that makes a constant click sound that helps you with your timing.
Oh man, a metronome? That thing throws me off.
Yeah, the reason it throws you off is because your rhythm is not solid, and the best way to get your rhythm solid is to practice with the metronome. If you're not practicing with the metronome, you're gonna have a tendency to speed up or slow down, but the metronome will help you keep your timing consistent, and the more you play with the metronome, the better your timing is gonna be when you're not playing the metronome. I've been playing for 30 years now, and I still practice with the metronome, so dudes and dudettes, please do it. It's super important.
Do it. Do it.
If you make this next mistake, you're gonna be forever stuck in beginner mode. I get that it's nice to just sit down and play what you know and just jam, experiment, write, explore the instrument, and that's totally fine. I actually encourage that because I've learned a lot by doing that myself. But if you're not balancing it with practicing the things that you don't know, you're not gonna see real growth. So pick something that you're not good at, Maybe it's your chord transitions or a new technique like palm muting or string bending or vibrato. But just pick a new thing that you're not good at and make sure you're spending time working on that every day. Because if you're not practicing the things you suck at, you're gonna get stuck in a rut. Now for this next mistake, I have a fix so easy that it feels like cheating, but it's a total game changer. If I was trying to type like this with my hands floating in the air, it's gonna be hard for me to be precise on what letters I'm hitting, but if I keep my palm planted on the table, it's a lot easier to be more accurate. If you struggle hitting the right strings when you're picking, one simple thing you can do is try anchoring your palm down on the bridge of the guitar like this. If you're not keeping your hand planted down, it's gonna be a challenge to be accurate and precise, but if that is something you struggle with, I did a whole dedicated video on just that, so click here and I'll see you there. Peace.